Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
Hello.
We are jumping straight into probably the most intense post-match fallout we've seen all season.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a debate that goes right to the heart of rugby's oldest, most fundamental law, the scrum feed.
That's right. So today, our focus is really dissecting the aftermath of South Africa's recent 24-13 victory over Ireland. And specifically, we're looking at how the Springboks' huge scrum dominance just immediately triggered these intense claims from former players.
Yeah, and they're arguing that the way one specific law is officiated, or maybe not officiated, is fundamentally impacting, team selection, the skills you need.
Exactly. So our mission here is to take a hard look at the sources and ask, is the modern scrum being refereed in a way that, well, lets teams exploit loopholes?
And in doing so, allows this hyper-specialization in power.
At the expense of, other skills, running, passing, all of it.
It's a huge question because if you change how a rule is enforced, you potentially change the entire profile of a successful international player.
It's a massive domino effect. And look, if you are ready for analysis that gets this deep, you really need to subscribe to Rugby Obsession right now.
Yeah, we promise we'll keep bringing you this level of insight, connecting what happens on the pitch with these big global debates.
Okay, but before we get too deep into the controversy, just some related good news for South African rugby.
Right.
Hooker Malcolm Marx was just crowned World Rugby Men's 15s Player of the Year.
A fantastic achievement. And it shows that, world-class all-around skill is still being celebrated at the highest level.
It is. A great moment. Okay, so let's set the scene. That victory at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin, it was decisive, but the scoreline wasn't really the story, was it?
No, not at all. The lasting memory and what all the sources are talking about was the sheer demolition job the Springboks performed in the set piece.
Demolition is the right word. They're described as eking out penalties at will.
It wasn't just dominance, it was, for Ireland, a full-blown crisis in the pack. It led to immediate disciplinary problems.
The pressure was just so relentless that Ireland saw both of their loosehead props, Andrew Porter and Paddy McCarthy, sin-binned.
Both of them. For repeated infringements. Imagine trying to manage a test match when your front row is just constantly being taken apart like that.
And this leads us to what some are calling a moment of pure strategic genius from Rassie Erasmus.
Oh, it was brilliant. He makes this bold call to replace both his starting props just moments before the last two scrums of the first half.
Which is a huge move.
A huge move. And it completely leveraged Ireland's inability to cope. The result was instant.
A penalty try.
Yeah.
Awarded to South Africa right there.
It was ruthless, it was disciplined, masterful, really. But that same mastery is what immediately drew some really heavy criticism.
Right. Former Leinster coach Matt Williams, he acknowledged the performance, called it masterful, but then he argued that the scrum was never meant to dominate the game to this degree.
Yeah, and he went a step further, didn't he? He said, World Rugby needs to step in and, quote, depower the scrum.
Which, for anyone listening who isn't familiar with that term, that usually means changing the engagement sequence, right?
Exactly. Removing the hit, shortening the sequence, anything to reduce the physical forces and sort of diminish the scrum's influence on the final score. He just felt it had become too powerful.
And that's critique, that idea of too much dominance, brings us right to the core of the issue.
The law itself.
The scrum feed and the loophole everyone's talking about.
Right. This all hinges on one very clear rule. World Rugby Law 19.15F. It says when the packs are square, stable, and stationary, the scrum half must throw the ball in.
Straight.
Straight. That's it. It's not ambiguous.
But according to former Leinster and Harlequins fly half Andrew Dunn, this rule is just being ignored.
Yeah, he was blunt. He called it literally the least refereed part of the game.
Which is fascinating when you contrast it with the lineout, isn't it?
Oh, the difference is massive. Dunn points out that in a lineout, a throw can be penalized for being 1 degree crooked.
A tiniest violation.
The tiniest. Yet the scrum feed, which is supposed to be a fair contest for the ball, gets overlooked all the time.
Okay, so let's get into the technicals. How exactly is this loophole being exploited? How are they getting away with a crooked feed?
So Dunn explains that scrum halves, and he's clear this isn't just one nation. He mentions Irish, French, and South African players like Cobus Reinach. They don't square up to the tunnel.
Okay.
Instead, they stand at an angle. They diagonally face the number 8 and roll it into the number 8's feet.
So the ball isn't even going into the middle of the tunnel.
Not really. It's being fed straight along the feet of their own second row. It barely crosses the middle line, which means the opposition hooker has absolutely no chance of hooking it.
It's already past them. The contest is over before it starts.
Exactly. It removes the need for a fair contest for possession. The entire set piece just becomes about who can generate the most power, who can push harder.
And this is where the conversation gets, well,
Yeah.
highly controversial. Because it connects this officiating loophole directly to player selection.
This is the nub of it. Dunn argues this lax officiating accentuates what South Africa can do because, simply put, they don't have to hook the ball back. Their whole focus can be pure, unadulterated power.
And then he drops that explosive quote.
He does. He claims this allows SA to pick, in his words, beasts like Thomas du Toit and Wilco Liu.
These are enormous men, over 140 kilograms.
Huge. And he controversially suggests these guys can't catch, pass, or run, but they get picked because they can just destroy scrums.
Wow. I mean, that is a brutally harsh assessment of a world-class professional athlete.
It is. It really is. It minimizes the incredible specialized skill it takes to anchor an international scrum against a team like Ireland.
I agree. The language is pretty shocking. But if you sort of push past that harshness, the point he's making about specialization is the critical thing.
It is. He's asking, if possession is guaranteed, why would you pick a versatile, mobile prop over a static powerhouse who can win you penalties?
It makes perfect sense. His argument is that if you enforce a straight feed, you immediately force teams to pick props who can move around the field a bit more.
Because their job isn't just pushing anymore. They'd need a more complete skill set if the scrum wasn't a guaranteed penalty factory.
This just raises such fundamental questions about the game's integrity. And look, if you appreciate this kind of analysis, the stuff that really tackles the controversial side of the game, make sure you hit subscribe right now for Rugby Obsession.
Now, let's just confirm how widespread this is. Dunn says the crooked feed is completely and utterly overlooked in every international.
So this is a global issue.
A global issue. It's basically an unspoken consensus among referees that's developed over years.
But what's so fascinating is we're starting to see a pushback, a move towards fairness. And it's not coming from World Rugby, but from France.
Yeah, this is a huge development. The LNR, which governs the top 14 and PROD2, has issued guidelines for the 2025-26 season to, and this is their word, restore fairness.
And they're doing that by focusing specifically on crooked feeds.
They are. The head of referees there, Mathieu Reynal, was very open about it. He admitted, we were letting shady feeds go through and it lacked fairness.
Wow, that's a direct admission.
It is. He said this new focus is a global consensus among their staff to ensure a fairer contest. So the referees themselves know they've been letting it slide.
And what's smart is how they're planning to implement it. It's not just sudden penalty chaos.
No. The strategy is adaptation. Reynal said they won't whistle everything at once, but by consistently sanctioning the clear violations, they expect coaches and teams to adapt.
To change how they train.
That's the key takeaway, isn't it? If the rule is enforced, coaches have to teach their hookers to hook again. They'll need to select props who can get around the park. The French leagues are signaling a long-term shift.
And this all connects right back to what we said earlier, with Matt Williams calling to depower the scrum after seeing that balk dominance.
Exactly. Whether the solution is changing the laws or just enforcing the ones we have, the point is the scrum's influence is under intense global scrutiny right now.
The pressure is really on World Rugby to ensure some kind of consistency.
Well, the contrast is stark. You have the international game, where the cricket feed is just accepted, and then you have the French leagues actively trying to enforce law 19.15F. It feels like World Rugby has a big decision to make.
So, wrapping this all up, what does it mean for the future of the game? We've seen South Africa execute this masterful, destructive scrum strategy. But at the same time, we're hearing these loud calls that this strategy is only possible because of a lack of consistency in refereeing one specific law.
The sources really show us this complex trade-off. On one side, you have these specialized powerhouses, the physical dominance that defines the game for some teams.
Oh my God.
You have the purists, the ones arguing for strict enforcement of the rule book to demand more skilled, more versatile, more complete rugby players.
So we want to put this question directly to you, the listener. What should World Rugby prioritize? Is it the incredible specialized physicality of teams like South Africa, even if it means overlooking the cricket feed?
Or should they follow France's lead, strictly enforce Law 19.15F, and force teams to pick props who can do more than just scrum?
Let us know your thoughts on that balance. It's a huge question.
The impact of this on the future style of international rugby is massive. We'd love you to engage with the debate.
And to make sure you don't miss our future deep dives, be sure to subscribe to Rugby Obsession right now.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we will look forward to you listening to our next episode.